Hey, welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack, everyone. Oh, hey, I wanted to show you something here. So this is my tack cloth, right? Probably time to toss it, right? Well, I wiped that thing off with this. And then I went back over it with this. See the dirt? So what I've learned from my adventures through woodworking is that I don't trust the tack cloths. I always wipe things down twice or three times, depending on how it shows up when I'm just now. Well, there's a lot of, I don't know, tack cloth to me, or cheesecloth, it works to a point, but it doesn't totally get it. Now, so what I'll do normally is I'll take my air hose and I'll blow it off. I can use my vacuum and suck material out of divots and stuff. I use that. Then I'll use the tack cloth, and then I'll use for the final phase a paper towel. So what I'm doing today is this. Okay, so this is black walnut from West Virginia. It's a over 100 years old piece of wood. It was from a knot, I guess, down by a stump, the trunk of the tree. I'm getting ready to finish it with some wipe-on poly, and I'm going to be using a white rag instead of a blue rag. Why? Because the blue rags actually leave residue. It's stained. Do you know that? These things are stained. These aren't. So normally what I do is I kind of do this much, and then I fold over like this. So then I'll fold over again like this. More manageable that way, eh? It's like waxing a car. Lights on, wax off. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some in here. Oh, right off the bat, I see some grain. It's got like silver look to it. Oh yeah, that's definitely worth it. Now, just so you know, this is imperfect. And when I say imperfect, it does have some divots in here, but I didn't want to sand anymore because every time I sand more, it pulls out more. It's pitty, so it's a soft. In other words, it's punky. It was punky. Uh, when I say it's punky, it makes it sound like it's very punk. So, what do I got out there today? Hey, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome from wherever you are. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe to me so you get notices when I come on. So, this black walnut has a little bit of a history behind it. All right, so I got the black walnut from a friend of mine who lives in West Virginia, Gerald Vance, Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. Look it up, Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. This guy is a genius with wood. He very knowledgeable gentleman. I always respect his comments and his teaching ability to teach me what to do and what not to do. Because a lot of times I don't know what to do. So, well, that's normal. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm putting one coat on. But I'm not using a brush, I'm using a rag. Now, reason I'm using a rag is so it doesn't leave streaks, but it's actually much easier. And if you read the back of this, a lot of times it'll tell you to wipe it off. You're basically, the first coat's going to soak it up. So you're actually going to end up having, I probably could put 2 coats on today because it'll soak it up. But what I normally do is I put 2 coats on before I start sanding. All right, so first coat, but it depends on the wood. All right, sometimes my red oak is I can sand it after the first coat, but I don't do that with this. Really looks nice. Really looks nice. If Gerald's listening, thank you very much, sir. This stuff is awesome. Feels special. Anyway, the story behind this piece of wood is it was up in his 55 acres or whatever it is he owns up there. He cut it down, he slabbed it, and he cut a pretty good sized piece out. Some of it's still over there. And this is actually the bottom of the tree, the trunk of the tree, so to speak. So now, if you look at the grain, it's actually going this way, which makes a better look of when I turn this, I actually went against the grain. But it makes a better look. It's like I was taking a 1x6 or something and cutting it and putting it on there. It looks really nice. I like it. Anyway, so that's my thing of the day. The next one I'm going to be making will be a resin bowl, or actually a resin Christmas tree. But what I do with this now is I'm going to go take this into the drying room. Be right back. Okay, so now I got that cleared up. One thing I will tell you is after you're done, I don't know why this thing want to shut. Make sure that you take all your utensils and stuff that you use for your stains and varnishes. And the reason I say this because this is a safety thing. I'm saving these gloves because they're still. I wiped them off enough so I can reuse them again. What I usually do is I take all this and I'll put it in a can, a sealed can. So why do I do that? Spontaneous combustion. So whenever you get, and as a firefighter, I can tell you it actually happens. You got to be really, really careful with stuff. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take and store my stuff outside in a steel can. So, okay, now I made a couple of things. Made some Christmas trees. Okay, these are pine cones. The idea is, you see how I've got them sitting in here, right? Well, that's not how they're going to set when I fill this up. They're going to set like this. All right, so what my predicament with this is, you see how right here this curves in a little bit. So my predicament is the way I shave these when I make them like a tree is this will probably show up. See how it's curved? This will probably show up on this end first and closer, and that's not what I want. They're both kind of the same way. All right, one's taller than the other one. But the idea here is that if you're a creative person, think outside the box. Let's say you don't have resin. You could take and paint the green. You could stain these if you want. It's pine, but you could stain it. I'd stain it a darker stain. And I would take and go to Hobby Lobby or someplace and get some spray-on glue, tacky glue, and then sprinkle all that fairy dust, as I call fairy dust, sparkly stuff on there. Or you could get a can of that snow that they have and do that. Or you could paint it green with a spray can or with a brush if you want to do that, and then add your 10 cents to it. The other thing is, I know that some places sell fake, what they've called fake lights, where you can put the little lights around it and all that. If you went to Hobby Lobby, you can spend a day in there trying to gather up stuff to make little things like this. Now, I glued these on here pretty good. They're with I use Gorilla Glue, and I use this kind of glue here because I like the top. The only problem is trying to keep all these tops clean. So you get a little pinhole like thing, you put it in there. This works out great. Um, and it's easy to take care of. If you have those other bigger ones like this, it for some reason clogs up. I've had with this stuff, this Type Bond, they have a top on it, which is this. And these things clog up. So what I tend to do is try to find something that's a glue, bottle glue, where you can put the glue in the container and then squirt it out. But the problem is, again, the pinhole, that thing works great. So that makes your life easier. So my predicament now, though, is do I make resin out of it? Or do I even bother with that? And so what I'm thinking about doing 50-50, since this one curves a little bit more, I might leave this one and do what I was talking about, make a craft thing out of it. This one, it's not too bad, but because this side leans more. So the space, you got to remember, you're going to be curving it up like this. So my idea was to do that, and then this. Now when I cut the bottom off of this, I seal this up so the resin won't come out. And then you got that. See? So that when I fill it up, and see, that's the Christmas tree. So now I can get more of a taper. I can taper it a little bit smoother and not have a big steep drop off to the top. Because that's what I'm worried about. You got to think dimensions and 3D outside the box thing. So the only problem is if I cut this off, I worry about it leaking when I do this because you're going to be turning it this way. So I don't know. I could leave it this way and then just turn it. You see my predicament. I could try and center this in the middle. You're still going to have an issue. So see how it real close here? So you can go up like this, but then you have to have a fed from this point on, you have to have drop off. And I don't want to do that. So, well, I'm doing resin work, my friend, resin work. So what I'm probably going to do with this is take tape. First off, I got to get something to cut this with that's really sharp. Sharp! see what kind of sharp carving tools I got. A lot of my carving tools just went all over the place. This might. Yeah, see how they just fall. For some reason, they're all falling out. And you don't know. See, the problem you have in this place when you sharpen it, when it sits around too long, they tend to get rusty, non-functional. Let's see if I can get this in here. There we go. Just make sure you don't cut yourself. See, that didn't stand there, did it? Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, it's a little. Anyway. All right, so I'm just going to cut the top off of this, right? I should probably just use my Dremel. You know what? I'm going to probably do it. I'm going to do it down here. I'm just all over the place. Okay, so now I cut that piece off, right? I'm such a cut up. Ah! Okay, so what I'm going to do here is this. Maybe. Okay, so this is all in the prep. All in the prep. Okay, so what I usually do Let's go over this a couple of times, kind of build up the outside a little bit. Okay, so now when I put this over there like that, it wants to be like that, right? But what I gotta do, now I gotta cut this off. Make sure I don't cut my hand. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go this way with it. I'm cutting like I draw. I can't draw straight. Well, I can't cut straight. So much for my cut job, right? I'm such a cut up. Okay, so now you got that, right? Okay, so now the idea here is to make it sticky on the outside. So I reversed it. Why do I reverse this? Hell, I don't know. Okay, so I'll go back over it again. But lower. Now that's to keep everything tight. So now when I go over it this time, it's supposed to stick. Not that fast, not that fast. Okay, so the idea here okay, so now the idea is fill this up with resin. And at the same time, you just made it bigger, right? So it works out good. But that's going to take a lot of resin. So probably gonna put half and half. Actually, you know what? I might just do this. Oops. I'm going to put this back in the box. Okay, so this would have to be the last time. Split decision, right? Well, what happened here was the container flipped over on its side. Otherwise, it would have been okay. But there's sawdust in there too, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I could turn it sideways, I guess. I could make a Christmas tree out of it this way. I don't know. Anyway. Oh. Okay, so you have two right size. Two of the same size cups, which I'll probably fill up to these little rings here. One of one and one of the other. So one's on. What I'm going to do here is put one here, 1 to 1. That's the way I look at it. So that's, I don't know which one's harder. Okay, so that's one. That was part A. Part B. This is how my measurements are. I don't think I could get these mixed measurements off, but I hate that when they stick to each other. All right, so that's one and one and the other one, right? Okay, that works, right? So, put that back on here. Now, a couple of things you need to do. So, now I've got stirring sticks. And let's see if I have to, I might do the green this time. Okay, so this stuff doesn't take very much. So what I'll do, I'll just mix a little bit in both. That's the one thing I can tell you about these dyes in here. They get kind of, if you barely put a tip of this stuff in there, it'll darken it real quick. Okay, so Now I'm trying to get a different consistency than the last one I did. So this one's going to be a different working process. What did I say? Because when I mix those two together, so they're not going to start hardening yet because I basically trying to do something a little bit different this time. A little bit different. Okay, so now you can take one, pour it in there like that. The other one, pour it in there like that. Now you see, you need probably about a half of one next. So I'll probably do a third one of this. The same, this time I'm doing half and half. This will be the same way. Okay. So now I have a little bit more of this. Gosh. Now it's what I thought. It's leaking. See that? There's a leaking from. Well, so much for that. That's not going to work. So that tells me I have to make a mold. Ah! Okay, so I think I'm just gonna waste. I'm gonna have to put a little bit in here, a little bit in here. Okay, so now we're mixing this. Okay, so now I gotta prep that for where is it? Okay, so I have to put this in there. Okay, so my biggest problem has been trying to get this thing to stay in one spot. Alright, so I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna put some wood in there. Scraps. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to take this off. And I got to put it in there. On the side. Make sure it doesn't. There, that should work. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. The only thing left to do is put my all right. Good there. Okay, so now we're going to do this. Now, I probably want to get it down to about 100, about 60, 65, maybe 70 tops. This helps get the moisture out. So that usually is the good deal here. So put this back together. Actually, you know what? I got something else. I can turn this. Alright, so this stuff goes all over the place. That's the only problem with this powder stuff. Alright, so that's that. I'm just gonna keep this out. I'm gonna try some. Okay, so all this is just garbage. This one, but for the next one probably. I don't know, it's still, verdict's still out on that one, but. Okay, so now you want to do is throw all this stuff away. And I use this again, I do, because it's stuff that you're working with is flammable. Okay, so that's good there, right? So I'm trying to see what happens with this. I'm gonna leave it out and see what if it's dries. All right, so that didn't work. Number one issue with that is I didn't have a cup big enough for that. So my mold's got to be X amount taller where I have to cut the trees down. Okay, so that's that. There. Now what I gotta do is this is where I gotta move half my shop around and get. Okay, Joe, get it out. You guys with me? You guys with me? I'm gonna move you around. Hey, don't feel. Please subscribe to me. If you want to be notified when I'm making a mess. All right. Okay. Shit. That'll work anyway. That'll work anyway. All right. Well, I'm gonna do. You guys are watching me. I don't know if you are. Okay, so lesson number one here on this. I have to take and plane this down so that it's flat. A little bit of imperfections on it, but I want to plane it down so that it's flat. So when I glued this up, this one was funky, I guess. But here's my problem, it's warped. Like this. So you always want to run this side through the hump through first, and then flip it around. Once you get it down to a certain point, then you, guess what? That's how you straighten the pump. Pump the pump out. All right, I made a bunch. I made one extra, so in case it got screwed up. So. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put these over on this end. And super sucker. I'm gonna put the super sucker on it, and it do get noisy. Okay, well, I'm gonna get off for a little bit because it's gonna take me some time to do this. I want to straighten them out. I want to. It's gonna be noisy. I don't want you guys to hear it, so I'll come back on later.